Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Jedi Hill, where we talk about freedom in all its aspects, from freedom from government tyranny, financial freedom, mental freedom, all those different aspects. Today's special guest is a friend who I worked with years ago. He is Coach Brandon Slater. He's the CEO of BNT Luxury Golf. Thank you so much for being on today there, Brandon.
You're welcome. Once you put the feelers out there, I was like, I got to get on that one.
Well, hey, I know you've been a freedom fighter for years. I know a little background, like with the Baldwin Wallace, you were fighting against the brainwashing to try and make students Democrats. Can you tell us a little bit about that type stuff you had to go through back then?
So me in college, I was a little bit more passionate about the side I was on. And a lot of couple of my professors didn't like that. Talking about, things like the Second Amendment, that I was usually the only one that was for the Second Amendment in a lot of these classes. So I had to defend myself a lot. Just being a gun owner, just saying, yeah, I have 1, 2, 9, a lot of people never even saw one or held one in their hand. So, there was in fact, I remember specifically one teacher, professor said, I lowered your grade in your paper because I didn't agree with what was in it. And I thought, well, then what's the point of this class then, if you can just disagree with what I say in my paper and lower my grade for it, because that in the long run hurts me more than it hurts you. So yeah, it definitely wasn't. It was fun because I do enjoy the back and forth. A lot of the professors were still very nice about it. We were on different sides, but we had amicable relationship. In fact, I still have a relationship with some of them now, but a few of them were definitely a little more extreme in their I don't want to say intent to indoctrinate, but
Biases?
Right. Yes, that's ultimately what it could be. So yeah, it was. I look back on it now and I'm like, was it worth it? Maybe in some aspects, but other aspects, I could have dealt without it.
Well, it's always looking back, hindsight's 2020, but it's still good you stand up for what you believe in, because just as I was making a post here this morning, as John F. Kennedy said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So whether we're right, we're wrong, at least as long as we're putting forth the effort to do what's right, we're trying to hold the evil at bay.
Right. And the choice to do nothing is still a choice.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we found the last couple of years with all the craziness for, the economy taking a break, we found most of the people we know would have handed us over during Nazi Germany.
Yep. And I think that's why it's important to, put a focus on something that is going to have your mind free. Because, you can get lost in a lot of that. You can get lost in the economy. You can get lost in, government, how the government is set up. You can get lost in just a lot of things that are going to put negativity in your mind all the time. And, that's probably one reason that when I chose the path I did to go into golf and coaching and ultimately, owning a golf travel business and travel as well. Because last year I was in Europe for 2.5 months. I was in Mexico for a month. This past year in January, a lot of that stuff I didn't worry about because I was somewhere else, and some of it didn't pertain to me, even though I'm still an American citizen. I'm in Barcelona trying all this food. I'm in Italy eating croissants and sipping on coffee every morning. I'm in Ireland and I'm golfing in Ireland. We were in Scotland, having fish and chips. So
yeah, that freedom of motion is huge.
Yes. I moved out to Colorado from Ohio because, well, the weather, I don't know what the weather is back in Ohio now.
we finally have some sun out here. We've got the weatherman said we're actually going to have 7 days of straight sun, which is like that happens like once every 10 years out here.
Right. Yeah. Finally. Yeah. My wife and I consider Ohio the big gray blob because, when it's wintertime, that's all it is a big gray blob. So
I remember because I used to live in Glenwood Springs, Colorado on the western slopes. And, after being in Ohio where it's all cloudy and dreary every day, you get a little more tough resilience to on a cloudy day. But out where you guys are at, if it's cloudy more than 2 days in a row, people start getting depressed because they haven't seen the sun.
Right. Well, and it kind of was like that because the past week, those Canadian wildfires have been burning and we got the smoke from that. So it was pretty hazy for a long time. And even this winter, the locals said that this winter was the harshest winter that they've had in quite some time. But the good thing is, if it snows here, it's usually gone in the next day or two. It doesn't stick around like Ohio does.
Mm-hmm. Well, and with the snow there, because you guys, and for a lot of people that don't know the geography, the Colorado River is feeding 40 million people's water supply across the whole Western country. So the more snow you get now, the less drought they have to deal with downriver.
And we just had a historical rainfall probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, yeah, it's, the world has a way of correcting itself when there's drought going on or, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all cyclic. It moves one way, it moves the other. Mm-hmm. I've always chuckled at the, first it was global warming, then global cooling, then climate change. But when you actually looked at like the core samples from like Antarctica and the North Pole, it's like it shows this is all cyclic, and you don't think that big sun in the ball of the sky has anything to do with our weather?
Right. Yep. It's a big pendulum.
So the luxury golf tours, this is a pretty cool topic. So it's giving you some freedom to travel more. And, you said you're coaching the golf, so you're actually getting to help people train and do all through that. How do you use that to help, freedom in your own life and the people you're helping out?
So the luxury golf tours, there's many beautiful destinations when it comes to golf courses. So we have one planned in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have Palm Springs on our list. Even out here in Denver, there's a ton of really great golf courses out here. So it's a way to get people to the courses that they may have never thought they were going to. It's a way to get people out and just be whatever sense of freedom they have. So we basically we take care of everything. We take care of the tee times. We take care of the place to stay. One of our mottos is just show up and golf, because we have a chef on staff to provide breakfast and dinner. On some of our trips, we're going to have a masseuse, and me being a golf coach, a PGA professional, I'll be able to coach and give pointers, give practice sessions, and so they're just there to enjoy wherever we're at and get better at the game that they love. And my wife is also a business coach, and a mindfulness coach too. So, golf is one of the most mental sports out there. So having a mindfulness coach and a golf coach, you're covering two major aspects of the golf game. So, and the places we want to go are, they're destinations, whether it's for golf or not. One place that we really liked was Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. There's a lot of people that say they will never ever go to Mexico because of it's dangerous or whatever. My rebuttal is, well, there's parts of the United States that are really dangerous too. So
absolutely, East Cleveland, right there.
East Cleveland, south side of Chicago, whatever have you. So it's a way to open people's minds a little bit on maybe some locations that they never thought of, because Puerto Vallarta actually has a ton of golf courses and it's beautiful. It's actually pretty cheap down there too, as far as like if you get away from the tourist zones. So and on my end of things, traveling and golfing are the two most important things most important activities that I want in my life. And my wife is a huge traveler. She is a golfer too, as well as our daughter. So putting all those together is kind of where the business came from. Travel, golf, repeat is our main line that we like to say.
I like it. And a lot of people like, I'm in the real estate biz myself, and more deals are done on the golf course than just about anywhere else.
Exactly.
That's why, Trump owns so many golf courses, so he can host where the deals are happening.
Right. And, it's a sport that most people, I would say, now that I have no evidence of this, but it's a very strong feeling that at some point someone has held a golf club in their hand. Some people play on the weekends. Some people play 3 times a week. Some people play every day. So, and what's interesting too, golf is one of the least used scholarships in college. So
interesting. Didn't know that.
Yeah. And it's probably one of the hardest sports to be good at to get a scholarship, but also at the same time, you don't have to be incredibly good to get a scholarship. So, back to the business part of things, we, with all of our travels that we've done, there's still so many more places that we want to go. Like, in fact, we're going on a trip next Thursday. We're going to do a national park loop. So,
Ooh.
So we're going to go to Arches, Zion, Yosemite, and Yellowstone, and we're going to golf along the way too. But yeah, and that's part of the freedom that I've always wanted, was to just kind of get up and go.
Right. Live life on your own terms, the liberty to have the resources to do what you want when you want to do it.
Right.
Now, you mentioned with the golfing, it's like, okay, you got the coaching on the mechanicals and you got the coaching on the mindset.
Yeah.
And personally, I'm big on the mindset. What are some of the things you like to do to help with the mind? Because if your mind is not in the game and you're worried about, your woman cheating on you, going through bankruptcy or any of these other random weird things in the back of your head, you're not in the game, you're not focused.
Yes. And it's very easy to get knocked off your focus. One thing is, try not to get angry. You hit a bad shot. Don't slam your club or throw your club. Now, I'm guilty of these things too. I've gotten better over the years, but when you're angry, you're thinking about what happened in the past. You need to think about what's going on right now, what you need to do, in golf terms, where your shot needs to be, what club you're going to use. You have to be in, because like I said, if you're angry, your mind's clouded with other things other than what you need to focus on.
Mm-hmm. What a neat point on the anger, from the mental biochemical, it's like being angry for a minute drops your IQ in half, and it drops your immune system in half for the next 4 to 6 hours.
Yes. And one of the most important things in golf is to not compound errors. And if you get angry, you're more apt to compound errors. And that's going to, make your score worse. And then ultimately it's going to make your day worse. So, example, yesterday I hit one of the better shots that I've ever hit, and it went in the water. Okay. I could have got mad at that, but I didn't. And I recovered, and I shot one of the best scores that I've ever shot. So, and I was flirting with the best score that I ever shot. So, it's definitely a frustrating game. But there's ways to help yourself limit those frustrations. And another thing too is hitting the safe shots. There's certain risks that you do have to take. Now, I'm not playing for $1 million yet, so all of my shots aren't worth $100,000 yet. But if I do want to make a good score, I can play the safe shot. So let's say there's water at 200 yards. Well, I'm going to hit a shot that's 180 yards, so I don't have any chance of going in the water. And then, just figuring the rest out from there. So, and there's also too, if you do feel angry or if you feel anxious, there's a book called Zen Golf by Dr. Joseph Parent. He gives breathing exercises. There's, I think, and I just read something about the Marines breathing exercises too, that he kind of mimicked in his book too, where, you take a breath in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds.
Yep, box breathing.
Yes. Yeah. Breathe out for 4 seconds and then hold that for 4 seconds. Yeah. So, and then you kind of cycle it that way. So, when you can control your breath, you control your fight or flight instincts.
Mhm.
Like a deer in headlights. They're not breathing. They are just stiff as a board because they have to figure out what they want to do. Well, in golf, we're not getting hit by a car. So, we have the freedom of movement and breathing. So, you're not in any danger on the golf course if you have trees all along you. You just have to you have to calm yourself down and hit the right shot. So
Absolutely. And for the breath work, and the box breathing, the 4-4-4-4, and I know some of the yogis and that will actually take it up to 15, 15, 15, 15. So you do 1 breath a minute, which is insane.
right.
I've only ever been able to get to about 10 seconds in a meditative state, but trying to do that while you're walking and talking is impressive. But a simpler one I've got for people that I've used a lot is make your exhalation longer than your inhalation.
Mm-hmm.
So you breathe in for 4 and like out for 8.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about the pauses and holds. That'll take care of it naturally, because when you're in the middle of a panic attack, trying to think and focus, it's so hard for a lot of people that, anything you can do to simplify it.
Right. Yep. And, it's, if you're in making things simple, I think is a way to do that. Like I said, you're not, most of the time, unless you're in a major thunderstorm, or it's not in 1939 England, where you might have to watch out for mortars or whatever. So you're not in any physical danger on the golf course. But even in traffic, even in people that struggle taking tests, or at work, you're under some sort of pressure. If you take 10 seconds, 15 seconds just to breathe, calm down, you will for sure, the next 30 minutes of whatever you're doing is going to be a lot calmer than if you didn't do those things.
Oh yeah, because you only have a few seconds before your hormones start going all out of whack.
Right.
It's like just going from a slouch position back to sitting up straight. Within a 14th of a second, your body's already changing the hormones.
Yep.
And within a minute to minute and a half, you can completely flip where you're at.
Right. And since, in the United States, there's a lot of hormonal imbalances, due to the food that we're consuming, or not consuming.
Well, even in the water, God, the fluoride and actually the birth control pills and other things. I know in the Cleveland water supply, they release their reports every couple of years. It shows like half the pharmaceuticals people are taking are still in the water supply you're drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a complete cocktail. You have no idea what that's doing to your hormones and your health.
Yeah. People wonder why I get the distilled water from the store. It's like, because I don't know what's in there. I know what's in there, but I don't know what's in there at the same time. And that's why.
Absolutely. I drink distilled and reverse osmosis.
Yep.
With the spring water mixed in when I know the source of the spring.
Right. Exactly.
Then I actually had issues last year where I had some bad food, and with like the water here in the Lake Erie area, it's about bad ulcerative colitis, internal bleeding, nearly died, was bedridden for 2.5 months.
Yeah, I remember that. I was watching that because I was a bit worried about you.
Well, thank God I've got a medical background more than most doctors.
Mm-hmm.
My honey was still scared because I'm bleeding out.
Right.
So she did talk me into going to the hospital. Of course, doctors practicing don't really know what they're doing, made it worse. Putting you on steroids, which I reacted to, and then going to a different doctor, they put me on a different steroid that nearly killed me. I had every side effect with like muscle cramping, like the facial muscles cramped so hard I couldn't even see straight.
Mm-hmm.
and I had trouble breathing. I had every side effect except for cardiac arrest.
Well, that was good. She didn't have that one.
Well, that's the only reason I think I didn't have that one is because of all the years of yogic breathing, where it's like, okay, it's hard to breathe, so I can at least focus to keep myself from being in panic attack while I'm going through this. But had I been a normal person without the medical background, and I know the doctors would have killed me.
Oh yeah, they just about did.
But luckily, on the bright side, I'm down 70 pounds from where I was that time last year. So
good. Yep. I'm actually, it was funny enough, talking about all what's in our food. When I was in Italy, I was 275 pounds, which is probably 30 or 40 more than the last time you saw me. And I actually lost 16 pounds while in Italy. So because we were there for a month. So, it's just interesting. And there's many people that say that they go to Italy, they eat the croissants, they eat nothing but pasta because that's what's over there, and they still lose weight. Whereas over here, you can eat 6 salads a day and only lose 5 pounds in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, the pasta one specifically, they have different food regulations in Europe, which that's why I love Aldi's, because it's a German company. They ban over 300 chemicals in their food that's still in all the other grocery stores.
Yep.
And it's still not perfect, but you're at least trying. So even their non-organic is better than the organic at some of the other places.
Every time, this is a weird thought that I have, but every time I go down, I don't even go down it because I don't buy anything in the aisle, but like the pop aisle, I want to see the amount of sugar that's just in that aisle. Because there's 30 grams of sugar in a can of pop, and there's 12, and they do 12 and 30 packs, and the aisle is full always. So I actually want to see that amount of sugar that's just in that one aisle.
You might as well have one aisle with pop and the other aisle with just bags of sugar, and you're going to be pretty close.
Yeah, because it's and I have Sprite is my weakness. I have half a cup of Sprite maybe once or twice a week, and even that, like, I can feel the the spike.
See, I'll do that when I can feel the spike in the sugar, but I'll do the Sprite if I'm at like a networking event where everybody else is drinking.
Yeah,
so I can still have something that's
right,
fizzy to make it look like I'm drinking, so I'm not getting the alcohol plus the sugar.
Right.
Because that leaches the calcium from your bones.
Put a lime and cherry in it, and then it'll look like you got some sort of alcoholic drink. That's what I started.
Yeah, it's and if you guys are gonna drink, tequila was always one of my favorite to just do straight with the lime, because you don't have the carbs and sugar spike.
Right. Yep. And that was actually another thing too, that we, my wife and I, we really kind of did get away from alcohol, because someone related it to a poison. Like, it's, in many ways, it's a poison. You're poisoning yourself. And after I kind of read that article, I was like, they're right. So, it's very limited now. I may have a beer here and there once or twice a month, if that, just because, that's just another thing that I can control that. I can control my alcohol intake. A lot of people are under the illusion that they can't. And so since I can't, I'm going to.
Well, and the quality of what you're using, like I make my own wines and meads and things like that. Meads, for those that don't know on the show, it's making your alcohol with honey, which is really cool. So you have yeast, honey, water, and whatever fruits and things you're mixing in it. So you don't have the extra sulfates and all these other chemicals that are getting put into the drinks. So you don't get as bad of hangovers and all that. Because my honey likes usually about, 1 or 2 glasses of wine on a Friday. And I'll maybe have a glass a month, but you don't get that icky feeling the next day. Like, oh.
Yeah. And, and the other thing too, I forgot to mention this, but I did become a certified personal trainer, strength and conditioning coach, and a nutritionist. So I just want to be a good example too, now that, so,
Mhm.
um, my daughter, she's my stepdaughter, but, she's my daughter. So I want to be a good example too. So, I don't want to, get hammered in front of her or even really drink that much in front of her. Cause I mean, she's 19, she's in college, college kids do what they do. And, she's a good kid. She's not a partier, but still at the same time, I don't want it to make it seem like, oh, well, this is okay. Cause,
That's what.
exactly.
And good, we got it, and that's something with that we have to fix in America is fixing the linear nuclear family. Like the fathers need to be the examples for their kids, and just have the two-parent household at any time you can.
Yep. And to go off of that, I don't even think it necessarily needs to be the father. There needs to be a father figure, because there's plenty of kids out there that consider their stepdads or even just someone else that's around all the time as their father.
Their coach in high school, whatever the case may be.
Exactly. So, and because that's actually what I told her when I said I wanted to marry her mom. And I said, you do not have to call me dad. You have a dad that is, fairly involved in your life. I want to be the positive male influence to you. And I think there needs to be both. There needs to be a positive male influence and a positive female influence in everyone's lives, because it's, you need to see what, you need to see good in order to know what good is.
Well, absolutely. It's like, I think of how much you're saving her a headache on dating guys by her having a good male role model in her life. So when she sees these young kids that didn't have a good role model, it's like, I don't even want to deal with that.
Right. And, I had a broken household, my, like, as far as like, my parents were divorced, but my dad was still there. He was still a very positive influence on top of all my coaches, that I still have contact with today. And I go to them regarding, coaching decisions that I make or just coaching questions that I have. But I also have the female side of it too, where there were, I call them, just football moms. So there were football moms that were, just incredibly great human beings. There was one, her son didn't even play football, but she was still a football mom because she loved us so much. So, yeah, I think, and also too, making sure we're not having children follow the wrong people. I never ever blame music for anything, but at the same time, if that's the only person that the kid is looking up to,
Oh,
like I don't think Marilyn Manson was the reason that Columbine happened, but if those kids, if that was the only influence they had as far, and I don't think it was. I think those kids were actually in pretty good households. They just had something blow up in their brain. But if they're looking up to the wrong people, that's going to cause problems.
well, and actually, it's interesting you mentioned music. Like personally at home, like in the mornings, we'll listen to meditation musics, classical musics, and then I'll occasionally do songs like, if my honey's irritated and stressed out towards dinner time, I'll break out the Frank Sinatra stuff.
My wife loves
I love Frankie.
Mm-hmm.
It gets me every time, gets the mood back right. And when you look back to the ancient Greeks, they actually had laws based on music, because based on just the frequency of the sounds, music can create harmony within the body or it can create discord.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, I personally don't even listen to most of the things like the rap and that, because just the sound and vibration will make people irritable and angry.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't look at the words, just the beats in the background.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I didn't grow up on the rap. It was more the hard rock, heavy metal stuff. And it was good for football. It was good for sports. It was good for lifting, because it did make
Power Man 5000. We used to hit the gym to, and it would always make you like.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Drop the bombshell. Especially with Power Man 5000. But within my golf world, it's hard to listen to that and stay focused, because it does elude some negative, not really negative thoughts, but just negative energy.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, it gets the adrenaline pumping and everything else, and hits that fight or flight response due to the tones and pitches, which throws off your hormones again.
Well, and so another thing recently that I've stopped doing was watching a lot of movies, because and I never, for the longest time, last couple of years, I just haven't felt like I had the time to just sit down and watch a 2-hour movie. I have, but it really got me thinking, like, well, these movies actually elicit some responses that I don't necessarily like. It's like scary movies. People, they say they love to be scared. Like, you don't like to be scared. You like the adrenaline rush. So, in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is fake people doing fake stuff. And it's like, well, I don't really care for that anymore. Like, I'd rather watch a documentary, or something else that I'll learn from, instead of a movie.
Absolutely. I love my documentaries, the nature channels. I know I've watched ones recently on like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. You can see where they're going. And then like my honey, she can't handle, because of being so sensitive, she can't handle the horror flicks anymore. In the time I've known her. So it's like, I'm down to documentaries and like Hallmark love stories. If we actually do sit down for a movie.
I watch a ton of Jeopardy. I found the Jeopardy channel. So
there's actually a Jeopardy channel. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep, Pluto TV, Jeopardy channel. There's Wheel of Fortune channel. There's a Bob Ross channel. I love watching Bob Ross.
Okay, I remember that one from a kid. His happy little tree accidents all the time.
Yes. Yep. No mistakes, only happy accidents.
I was actually, speaking of the Bob Ross, just a little side note. My dad used to be professional level artist. So it's like he could actually watch Bob Ross and paint it at the same time and have it look just like his.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish I was. I wish I was at least 10% artistic. I can't draw much. I probably could if I really put my mind to it, but yeah.
I've not done that. I've done sculptures and things like that in stone and wood. But I've always been more fun on the architectural and the building. Like, give me my straight lines. Let me get my ruler, my protractor, and actually build out what I want.
Right.
Everybody's different. And that's the beauty of the freedom. It's being, we can have unity through specialization. We don't have to make people into mindless drones that all do the same thing.
Right. Well,
we're not robots.
My wife is a business coach for Fortune 100 companies. And, she's very well liked among her peers, because she is a great worker. And she says all the time, if we have a team of 5, I would not want a team of 5 that are just like me. I need someone, or I need 4 other people that are different, even from each other. Because if it's a team of me, if it's 5 of me, we're not going to get anything done. We're going to butt heads, because we're just the same person. So, in fact, there's a lot of, in a couple of the golf books that I've read, and some of them are golf centric, some of them are just sports centric. You really need a coach, or in business, you need someone that is much different from you, that knows something that you don't. So if you were in business for architecture business, you're the drawer, you're the person that draws things up, maybe. And I know you've worked in sales and marketing before, but let's say you don't. You need someone that can sell these drawings to other contractors and things like that. So knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses, and not to necessarily call them weaknesses, but things that people know better than you.
Well, absolutely. It's like the world's gotten to the point where you need to specialize. So you need to be able to focus on your strengths and hire out your weaknesses.
Right.
And you don't want the yes men, because if it's yes men, it's like, how do you know you're going down the right path if nobody's ever challenging you?
I just left a job because that's all they wanted was yes men. And, going back to the music thing, I've always been a Rage Against the Machine guy. And, I'm not a yes man. I've always said too, I'm a great worker, I'm a terrible employee.
But that's what makes us good entrepreneurs.
Exactly. Yep. And that's when I told a couple people that, they're like, well, just start your own business. And I'm like, well, I kind of already did, so maybe I'll focus on that.
Absolutely. And it gives you the freedom, like, not that being an employee is a bad thing, because a lot of people like that security, that steady paycheck. But being able to, eat what you hunt and, set your own schedule, and that gives you a level of freedom that somebody that's working for somebody else will never feel.
Right. Yep. And, onto the travel things, I think the people that choose not to travel are really limiting themselves on what their life experience is. I wish I could remember the source, but the people that travel at least 1 week out of the year are 50% happier than people that don't. And I come from a town, and your town's probably like it. I mean, you grew up not too far from me, where a lot of people just stay there.
Oh yeah. I remember, God, I wish I remember which paper it was, because it's been 15, 20 years ago since I read it, but it's like over half the people never go more than 50 miles from the point they were born their entire lives.
Right.
So that's for, like, if you're in Ohio, that's like, someone going from Cleveland to Canton, and they might never even make it to the state capital that's 2-hour drive away.
Right.
In their whole lives. Like, it boggles my mind that people, but that's also why they get such a restricted mindset. Because, like, when you're going to Italy, when you're going to Mexico, you're getting to see different cultures, you're getting to learn more. And the more you learn about other cultures, the more you understand, and the better you can be friends throughout the differences.
Yep. Like, I'm kind of, I wouldn't say fighting, but that's the word I'm going to use, fighting with my parents to come out this way. Because my dad's been to Vegas once, but other than that, he's not been past the Mississippi River. He's been down to Florida. He's been to a couple other places. Like, I think they went to Gatlinburg one week, but I wanted to come this way. Yeah, I wanted to come this way because my dad is retired now. He's pushing 70, and
get the mom more on your side. Remind her about Glenwood Springs. They have the world's largest hot springs pool, bigger than a football field.
And my mom wants to come out. My mom is a little bit more traveled than my dad, and she wants to come out here. So, but yeah, I'm trying to get my dad to come out here so that way he can experience some more of the, at least, United States. I don't know if he'll ever, maybe one day he'll cross the border, but at least, cross the Mississippi.
I personally have only been to Canada, but I've been to, 39, I think I'm at 41 of the continental United States, out of the 48 continental United States. I've missed Cali, Montana, and then up in that little Maine, Vermont area.
Yeah, so this, one of my life goals is to golf in all 50 states. So I think I have like 10 or 11 down, and I'll get 5 more on this trip that we're going on. So we're going to be in Utah, California, Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana.
Oh, very cool. I know there's some good ones out there in the Black Hills in South Dakota too. And if you ever are out that way, or whenever you are out that way, stop at the Alpine Inn in Hill City, South Dakota. They have the best filet mignon in the country.
All right. Yep. That's where we like to go on loops. So, we're going west, and then this, next time we'll go the other way, and we'll go a little southeast, and
there you go. Hit them in little groups and things like that. God, just, back in the day when we were younger, people used to go on road trips. It's like, hey, it's Friday, we got a 7-day week. Let's put, $10 in the gas tank and we can go for days.
Yeah. Well, last summer I went to Vegas, and then my wife was like, hey, you want to go to New York City? There's a flight, we can leave Vegas and go to New York City. Yeah, let's do it. Went to New York City for the first time.
What do you think about it?
It's good in small doses.
I like Central Park the one time
We were
I
there.
was there.
Yes, Central Park was awesome. The 3 times I've been there was for 24 hours or less. So, and that was fine. I got my New York style pizza. I got to see some of the cool spots, the 9/11 memorial, but yeah, small doses is fine.
Yeah, because I'm personally, I like the country and the open seas myself. My grandpa's rule, like, is if you can see your neighbor through your rifle scope, they live too close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's certainly way too many people there. But like I said, it was, because we took a boat, saw Ellis Island, where a lot of the immigrants came through, so that was cool. I do enjoy my history. Statue of Liberty, saw that. So yeah, it was, like I said, small doses is fine for New York City.
There you go. So, any big last words for people on the Freedom, and how can they get a hold of you?
So my Instagram handle is BT Lux Golf. That's our business page, and it's even if you don't like to golf or travel or anything like that, we still post a lot of really nice pictures. My wife is a photographer, and then we also have Breakfast Jezebel. So one of the things that we do is we go to breakfast spots and we rate them and put them on our Instagram. So that's another thing. I guess my words of wisdom are, if you want to take that trip, do it. You don't know when your last day is going to be, so see as much as you can. The money will always come back, so just, if you want to go somewhere, go. I don't care who says don't, even if it's yourself. Go.
Absolutely. I agree 100%, Brandon. Take the chance, because when you get to your deathbed at the retirement home, the only things you're going to regret are the things you didn't do, not the mistakes you made.
Yes. In fact, a lot of people say that on their deathbed. I wish I traveled more. I'm not going to be that guy.
Absolutely. I've worked in nursing homes, and I've heard it from so many wealthy people. It's like they didn't take the business venture, they didn't do whatever, and they get to that point, they regret everything they didn't do, not the things they did wrong.
Right.
So thank you, everybody. And as always, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm your host, Jedi. Peace.
Bye.